everyone, it's your girl Deja. We're back with another video of Dinners with Deja. Today I am making scalloped potatoes or cheesy potatoes, or how do you say it?
Au gratin.
Au gratin. I say scalloped potatoes or cheesy potatoes. So that's what I am making today. So for the recipe, you will need, I use golden potatoes. You can use Idaho potatoes. I just like the golden ones better just because they're smaller and it's easier for me to portion it out. But if you have a big family, then use the Idaho potatoes because it'll stretch longer for you, but it's mostly just me. So I use the golden potatoes. You'll want to cut your potatoes about 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick. You don't want to cut them too thin because once you put the sauce and you start to bake them, they'll break apart and then it'll be mushy. And you want the potatoes to be able to keep their form. Don't cut them too thick. This one's really thick, but it's okay. I'm gonna make it work. If you cut them too thick, they all won't cook at the same time, and so you'll have some parts that are done and some parts that aren't. So try to get them as even as you can. So for the recipe, I have heavy whipping cream. Yes, you can use this. It's not just for whipped cream. Parmesan, pepper, salt, garlic powder, crushed red peppers. And for my cheeses, I have mozzarella, sharp cheddar, and provolone. And then the Parmesan cheese, as I said. So what you'll need to do is take your heavy whipping cream, and you can use milk for this. You'll just need to double your portions. I'm gonna pour about 1 cup. So if you're using milk, use about 2 cups. Do 1 cup. Now I'm gonna do 1/2. I use heavy whipping cream because it doesn't take as long to get thick, and so if you're trying to make this quick and fast, use the heavy whipping cream. You can use milk, as I said. The only thing is it's going to take longer for the sauce to thicken. And then I'm going to add 1/2 cup of water, and the reason I'm doing that is to help thin it out just a little bit. You can, the reason I don't put milk in here to help thin it out because the milk is gonna also thicken, and we want the water to help the consistency be a little smooth so we can pour it and not be chunky. So 1/2 cup of water in there. All right, so you wanna put your temperature on medium high, not on high, medium high. And while that is going, I'm gonna do a tablespoon of each seasoning. So a tablespoon of salt, and all my ingredients were bought at Heb, H-E-B, for those of you who don't know what Heb is. If I ever go to Kroger for any of my things, which I rarely ever do, I will let you guys know, but I try to stick to H-E-B because H-E-B just has everything, and I have the H-E-B app, and so I can look to see if they have the items and which aisle they are on. So if you don't have the H-E-B app, I suggest you download it so that way it's easier for you to shop. They have curbside too, where you can just pick it up and make it so much better. So once you've added all your seasonings, mix it. I'm gonna wait for this to get to about a simmer. You don't want it to be boiling. You wanna wait till it gets to a simmer, and then I'm gonna add my cheese. The reason I'm not gonna add my cheese now is because it's not hot enough. And so once I add my cheese now, it'll just clump together and it's gonna be hard to break apart that cheese. So you wanna wait until it gets to a simmer so it's hot enough so once it touches the milk, it's ready to go. Ooh, I'm gonna so we're gonna play a little game while we wait. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hum a beat. You're gonna try to see if you can guess what I'm humming. Like the song, or like it could be a theme song to like a movie or something, or like a TV show.
That's for you.
at the movie. Okay. Okay.
Perfect. Oh yeah.
All right, guys. So now that it's coming to a simmer, I'm gonna add about a cup, or half a cup. Sorry, half a cup of each cheese. And if you need more, you can always add more. But we're gonna put cheese as we layer it to bake it. I have my oven on 400. Add your mozz. And provolone. And I usually make this dish with steak or a chicken recipe, but I prefer to make it with a steak recipe. I have a great steak recipe that maybe I'll show you guys one day. Now, normally I would use smoked provolone for this recipe, but there's no more because there's a pandemic going on.
Gotta get that smoked provolone. Gotta stock up.
You guys are still panicking, even though all of this is about to be lifted. Literally Friday. But it's okay. And just keep stirring it until it's completely melted. You don't want to leave it, because if you do, the cheese is going to float down to the bottom and burn. And that's the last thing you want, is burnt cheese in this recipe. Alright, so my cheese is completely melted. Let it come back to a simmer. And then once it gets back to a simmer, you can turn it off, and then we'll start layering it. The reason you're gonna turn it off is you don't want it to get too thick while it's on the stove, because it's gonna thicken as it cooks into the oven. And so you don't want pasty sauce all over your scalloped potatoes. Now, some people don't make a cheese sauce. Some people just sprinkle cheese on top of the potatoes and then just have the potatoes and cheese. But I like to make a cheese sauce, get all nice and creamy up in the cracks. So I'm gonna show you guys how the consistency of this sauce should look. When you put it, you should be able to run your fingers through, and it should stay apart. If it does that, perfect. If it's runny and it just runs right off, let it simmer a little bit longer. So we're gonna take it off the heat, and now we're gonna start to layer. So I have a pan. I just have a small pan because it's just me. If you cooked a lot, get a big enough pan to fit all of it. And make sure it's deep enough, because the sauce will bubble over. And spread your cheese sauce at the bottom, so that way you don't have to put butter and it doesn't stick. Make sure you spread it all around. All right, so once it's completely covered at the bottom, you're gonna start to layer the entire pan. Doesn't matter what sizes. Some of them are not all the same because the ends of the potato are smaller. Just make it fit. All right. And then we're gonna add some of this creamy sauce. Just pour it all over. Now, when I do the bottom layer, I put less sauce than I would at the top, because as you cook it, that cheese sauce is gonna melt down to the bottom, and so you won't really need to worry about the bottom part being covered completely. And they're not going to be layered pretty. Don't expect that. So once I do that layer, I have one more layer. I'm gonna sprinkle mozz. And I have one more layer after this. If you're doing a lot, every 2 layers, I sprinkle cheese. I'm done with that. And I will have leftover sauce. That is okay. Better to have more than not enough. And you can always use the same sauce too to make mac and cheese. Just boil some noodles, whatever noodles you want to use for your mac and cheese, and toss it in this. I want to make sure all of my potatoes are covered. Make sure all your potatoes are well covered, because as it bakes, you don't want it to dry out. It's done. Usually I would shred smoked provolone on top, but I'm just gonna break some pieces up and use that as a top layer. Once you're done with this, putting the cheese on top, cover it with foil, cook it for about 30 minutes with the foil on, and about 15 to 20 minutes foil off. All right guys, time to take it out of the oven and let it cook for 30 minutes with the foil, 15 minutes off. Be careful not to burn yourself. Once you take it out, let it cool for about 5 minutes so it doesn't completely fall apart. There you go. All right, time to taste test, guys.
Oh my gosh, this looks so good.
Bon appetit.
I need absolutely 2 minutes for this to cool off.
It is straight out of the oven, guys. Oh my god. Guys, this is so we couldn't wait to finish it.
It's like burning my throat going down. Oh.
But after the burning sensation,
Give me a second.
it tastes amazing. It's amazing.
I want more.
All right, guys, you heard it. It's a smack.
It is a smacker.
I hope you guys enjoy. Bye.